Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 rated sportsbook app out there. I'm your host, Rudo, joined by AJ Haefele and Blais Hunter. I think we have a depuckering procedure in room 4 for Dr. Dubs on this one, as the Avs hold on to win 4-3 over the St. Louis Blues in what was a game that didn't have to be this close. Perhaps, but it was.
Yeah. I mean, It happens.
It happens. No harm, no foul at the end of the night because it's a W, right?
Yeah, and I mean, like, let's be real. Like, the Avs were having a perfectly fine third period up until the goofy goal. And when that goes in, all of a sudden, St. Louis gets its second win, and Colorado goes, oh, shit. And 14 minutes of chaos ensued.
Yeah. So, look, this has been a theme for a bit now. We saw it against Arizona. We've seen it against other handful of teams on this kind of post-winning streak stretch, which there were they on a 4-game winning streak of their own now again. But third period lapses, and it hasn't burned them really yet in this stretch. They've gotten away with them, and to some extent, is that load management? Now you see against the Blues, maybe a bit of a stronger team. It feels less like load management and more like, oh my God, are they going to throw? So how much does that need to be fixed, and how much of that is the Avs just need to survive and get rested?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine, man. Like, you eliminate the delay of game penalty.
Yep.
And you're probably fine.
Yeah, that's a little scary.
You force them to score 5-on-5 against you, and you're probably coasting. You know, you're blocking lots of shots, and it's like all in your defensive zone or whatever. But if you don't give them the extra man advantage,
it's a 4-2 game. Yeah,
it's a 4-2 game, and they pull the goalie with 2:30 and 2:30 to play or whatever, and blah blah blah. And you're probably on easy street, even if you give up a goal at the last minute 15 or whatever. It's still just like, okay, it's still on them. They've still got to do work here. But I'm more concerned that 2 more power play goals against, like the PK
has continued to trend the wrong way. Yeah,
all of the stuff that we talked about last season's problems in the postseason and goaltending and all that, but Colorado had like a 60% PK in their series against Dallas. Like, as much of a culprit as anything else, it was that PK failed at the absolute worst time. They could not stop Dallas's power play at the end in the second half of that series. They just couldn't do it.
Yep.
And that more than anything else, that's the thing that makes me nervous, is that the PK has slowly been on a decline here for the last couple of weeks. And it was like, some of it was expected. That unit's underlying numbers were nowhere near as good as it's sitting in the top 5 all season. And so like, some of this is like, I kind of shrug some of it off, but some of it also, like, you need to that unit needs to be better. That unit has to lock things down.
I agree with you there, but I think, and tonight is a prime example of this, a bit too often you're seeing the Avs top PKers put themselves in the box. Ryan Graves did it early in the game, and then on the goal to make it 4-3, it was Tyson Jost that flipped it over the boards. And Ryan Graves is probably their number one PKD right now, and Tyson Jost is arguably their number one PK forward.
Yeah, and like Patrick Nemeth will do wonders to help them.
Yep.
That will definitely help. I'm not sure why the insistence on Carl Soderberg out of nowhere, but
that was random.
It was kind of an odd decision, but I mean, he played a lot of PK previously for the Avs.
Yeah.
I just don't know why
he's been with your team for one day and you drop him in on special.
Yeah, it's like you kind of have this rotation set. Now with Nemeth, like you're specifically looking to get some of these guys. You're looking to get especially Devontae's. Like you're trying to get Devontae's some extra rest here. That's part of the point of going to get Nemeth. But part of the point of going to get Soderberg wasn't to give Val Nichushkin an extra 30 seconds of rest.
The guys playing PK on the forward side for the Avs weren't exactly playing huge minutes every single night.
Yeah, it's Jost, Nichushkin, Belmar, Comfer. Like it's all the guys that you would expect. It's all of your specialists in your bottom six that you pay to be specialists in your bottom six. So it's sort of an odd usage from Soderberg specifically, but wasn't particularly problematic for me. I just thought it was weird.
It was definitely a little weird to me as well, but the other side of that coin is it was the Avs depth forwards that got them all over on the board tonight. 2 points for Liam O'Brien. You got a goal from JT Compher. You got a point out of Connor Timmins for the first time in the NHL. It is humanly possible to do that. So
those are all good signs, right? When you're bottom six is scoring, that's great for a team that's getting ready to go into the playoffs. You always talk about that. You need depth in your scoring, and tonight they were all over the scoreboard. So congratulations to the Avs tonight. That's a huge win for them. A little thing that, I mean, the Blues always bring is that physical game, and I think that's what you saw throughout the game is that it just started taking a toll on them throughout. I mean, did you guys see Jost take a pretty hard hit clearing that puck in the third?
Yeah, we called that real hot girl shit.
Yeah, I don't know what toll it took on him. He got up and did it again when asked.
He did, but that's still in the back of your brain when you're getting railed like that out there.
You can be in the back of your brain, but as long as he's still making the plays, it's not having a discernible effect here.
Yeah,
and the clearing the puck over the glass was
that was a brain fart.
He just missed it.
Yeah, you can see
that puck was rolling, and he just lifted it at the wrong angle at the wrong time. Like it was a very normal thing that happens.
Yeah, well, you're taught to like take it off the boards there, but he had enough time probably just to kind of turn it and shoot it down the ice as well. But it looked like a brain fart. You could tell the minute that it came off of his stick, he was like, "Oh
yeah." Well, his reaction, he's like, "Son of a bitch, come on."
Yeah.
Like, he knew.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, the third period was ugly. It was close. It very easily could have fallen apart on the Avs, but it didn't.
At the same time, Landeskog could have done something a little smarter with the puck than wait for three guys to get in front of him and then try and hit an empty net.
Yeah, right.
Granted in two, and then like they score. Like they make better decisions with the puck there at the end. They scored to the empty net, and we're all just like, all right.
Yeah, that was a brutal. What was that? What you're saying? 2 minutes 30. That was the end of the game there, where they controlled that whole 2 minutes too. That was a little scary.
I mean, yes, but the other side of it is the Avs have had the privilege of being able to come close to throwing hockey games, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, that's why you score the fourth goal, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's why you score 4. And And they mobbed on Jordan Binnington in the second period. They were like, remember, this is not a good goaltender. That easy.
Yeah, you look at the goals, really, the only goal that I think Binnington would have a problem with is probably the Rantanen goal. Belmar beat him pretty cleanly off of a sneaky little shot that he probably didn't pick up cleanly.
Yep.
Just based off of where it came and the traffic in front. And then, the Comfer goal, there's nothing he can do about that. That's
deflection off the post in behind him.
Off the post and then off his skate. And Comfer's literally the only guy there. Like, he's looking around going, who the hell's marking this guy? Why is this guy by himself behind me? And then Rantanen's goal just kind of beats him cleanly. And the way everybody reacted was like, did he score? And then, the Saad goal, it's a great play by Jost.
Yep.
And then Saad with a great finish. So, I really don't have a problem, to be honest, with how either goaltender played. They each, the Dubnyk had without the one goofy goal against, Devin Dubnyk's night is completely fine.
Yeah, he gives up 2 power play goals that were pretty unstoppable. I mean,
like the little tip from Vince Dunn in the first one, like that gets by a lot of goaltenders. Yep. And then guess what? Mike Hoffman's made an entire living firing off one-timers from that exact spot on power plays. Like, that's the one thing that Mike Hoffman does well.
And you can see Dubnyk's frustration because he almost had it. Like, he got a piece of it.
He got 70% of that thing the way it fluttered into the net.
He was also being screened pretty heavily on that goal as well. Like, it was a great play by St. Louis. Like, like you're saying.
Yeah, the solution to that is don't take the dumbass penalty that gave him the chance.
Exactly. Exactly correct. Since we're on the top of goalies, Dubnyk's first night behind the Avs, he looked squirrely at times, but it got the job done. There was a lot of weird things. Like, all right, first of all, we have to go back to before this game and the Avs getting their COVID shots yesterday. So, team probably not playing fully at 100% anyway.
Yeah. We have no idea how any of those guys individually were impacted.
Yep.
By any of that.
So
we have no idea, dude. Because every person in chat, all of us here on the show, everybody that's gotten at least one of the shots, sometimes both, we all have different stories.
The only person we know is it affected Donskoy bad enough to hold him out of the game.
Yeah, it is like the ultimate your mileage may vary situation.
Yeah.
So who knows? And trying to go and play and being a professional athlete and rolling into a game like that, like that's who knows. To be honest, I'm glad that it didn't ultimately matter. I'm glad that it's not like a thing that we have to be like, well, we don't know, they lost tonight, and
for sure
we'll never know how much it impacted. We'll never know, but they got the 2 points, so it ultimately just doesn't matter.
That is that's a good place to be in if you're the Avs right now.
Yeah, with Vegas kicking off their game. 6 points up.
6 points up on Vegas. Vegas is up 2-1 in the first right now. So at worst, you stay even with Vegas if you're Colorado, which is great. I mean, they're chilling at the top right now. And it stays that way. We can take our first period break on that note, as we are brought to you by Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. You can get 8 different kinds on tap down at the DNVR bar, or grab the Breck Brew Seltzer 15-can sampler. A bunch of amazing flavors are there for you to try. I can't recommend these guys enough. I love all of their beer. I even love their seltzers, even though I'm not really a seltzer guy myself, personally. But their seltzers taste like candy to me, so I guess that's a pretty easy way to sell me on them. Also brought to you by Strava Craft Coffee, the CBD-infused coffee that you can get at the DNVR bar as well if you want to try before you buy. And you can get 25% off your first purchase online when you use code DNVR25. So get on it today. The CBD is great, been known to help with many different aches and pains, including migraines, IBS, joint pain, other things as well. So do that. If CBD is your thing, now is a great time to sign up for a DNVR membership as well. As when you sign up for an annual membership, you can get yourself a holistic wellness stick just for booting as well. Free shirt, all the same stuff. You can get a mask, bunch of cool stuff when you sign up for a DNVR membership, let alone, our actual content that we provide you, like AJ's written pieces, Evan's grades, things like that. So it's never been a better time. Jump on it today. You can get all the coverage, not only from the Avs beat, but Nuggets, Broncos, Rockies, you name it. We even got rugby coverage. Come check us out if you haven't yet. We really appreciate all of you. Second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast,
Jesus.
presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. AJ reveling in something over there.
17-1-2 in their last 20, 21-3-3 in the last 27, and 30 wins in 43 games.
Yep. They're good. They're good, man. One regulation loss in 20 hockey games.
Unreal.
I mean, they're 43 games in, and they're sitting on 9 regulation losses.
Yeah.
And, you just lose games in the NHL. That's just part of the deal. You just do that.
Yeah, it's team special. No doubt about it.
Yep.
I mean, I had them pegged to lose tonight. I told Michaela, I was like, I totally think they're going to lose. This is all the things that are stacking up against them, and it just feels like, and especially in St. Louis.
Yep.
And then we find out, the vaccine, and, Bednar tells us this morning, he's like, oh, these guys are all, a bunch of these guys just don't feel, they just don't feel very well.
Grubauer's got COVID.
And then, Grubauer gets COVID, and you're like, Jesus, dude. Well, but, I mean, they got they're now 4-1 against St. Louis this year. On the season series. No matter what, they will have a split.
So they need to not lose one of their 2 games left with Vegas, not lose in reg, and they're guaranteed 500 or better against every team that they play.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
Yep. Yeah, the Avs' last win in St. Louis was in March of 2018. I was at that game. Varley had, I think, 40 some odd. I think 44 saves that night, and the Avs won 4-1.
Sounds about right. Yeah, look. How confident do you feel? Because for the immediate, Devin Dubnyk is the Avs starter until Grubauer comes off the COVID list.
Look, if he plays the way that he did tonight, I have absolutely no issues whatsoever. Because outside of the goofy goal, that's 2 goals on 30 some odd shots. You're completely fine with that.
Yep.
It's just
and he saw some.
Yeah, I mean that.
He saw some huge goal. Oh,
after they made it 4-3, and he had to slide across and stop the centering pass. That's a huge save.
Yeah,
he made some legit big time saves there, and I had no issues with how he looked. He looked completely fine to me.
Yeah, and especially 5-on-5, right? If the Avs can stay out of the box, he looked really good. It's pretty funny too. On the heat map there, the only goal 5v5 where it's placed is behind the goal line there. That's the only place that he scored on.
Yeah,
so.
I don't know what Jonathan Quick just did, but Twitter's freaking out about it because it's now 3-1 Vegas.
Did Jonathan Quick things against not the Avs? I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, what we've encapsulate the third period and put it to the side for a second because the problems there are fairly obvious. Through the first 2 periods of this game, what are you looking at as the Avs as something that you can continue to improve? Yes, we've talked about the penalty kill, but at 5-on-5, it wasn't the supreme dominant possession game we've seen out of the Avs, but they also didn't need that.
Well, the thing is that when they needed it, they got it. It got geared up.
Period,
I mean, the first period, I I thought that got outplayed in the first period. And then I went and I looked at the numbers and I'm like, shut up. Like, how do these numbers look like this? And then, but in like the second period, like Colorado just came out with like,
guns blazing.
Like they have that switch that maybe switch isn't the right word because that makes it sound like a choice, right? Like you could flip it and it just, and then like in the third period, they just turned it off. But they have that gear in tight games where I think that there's just, when they get on you, they're just on you.
Yeah.
And it doesn't stop. It's relentless. I mean, you look at the second period. When did it end? The only reason it ended was because the buzzer existed to bail them out.
Yep.
Were it not for I mean, it's like a prize fighter getting bailed out by the bell. You know, like sometimes you just need the end of the round to be like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Because
that's what I was gonna say.
Like, they speed bagged them for 20 minutes. That could have been, 5 or 6-1 pretty easily with a couple of nice saves that Bennington made. They could have absolutely housed St. Louis. They were this close to it, and even then, 4-1.
Yeah. I was gonna say the same thing. Like when they come out, it looks like they had a slow start. Like just work on those starts and coming out like they did in the second period. Again, you look at the numbers, though, they were totally fine in the first, but it looks different, right? That second period, and it's something like that's the Avs MO. Like they come out in the second and they just start putting a beating on people. I don't know what's being said to them between the first and the second, but
so it's 2 years of this for the record. They were by far the NHL's best second period team last year, and they are also this year easily the best second period team in the league. So you're just they have that little extra gear, and for the most part, it's not even like you can be like, oh god, they turtle in the third period all the time, because they haven't been. They've been taking the third period opportunity to just drop the hammer on teams.
Yeah.
And they've been doing just fine in that period. This is the first time in a long time in which they were like,
there was actual concern. Yeah.
Really, really back on their heels. And again, the first 6 minutes, they were completely fine. It was the goofy goal that flipped everything on its head. If that goofy goal does not happen, I don't know how the rest of this game plays out, but I don't think that St. Louis plays with the energy that they did. That break for them was like a bolt of lightning hit their bench.
So I haven't looked at that stat trick yet tonight, AJ, so correct me if the eye test doesn't match the numbers here, but the Avs top line was not pretty tonight at 5-on-5. It's certainly by looks. You watched multiple shifts where O'Reilly and company kind of ate them for breakfast. It's not that bad.
Nathan McKinnon, 23-4-9 against.
So
scoring chances 4, 14-4, 5 against. High danger chances 6-4, 3 against. That's McKinnon though. Rantanen's pretty similar. Landeskog is quite a bit worse.
Okay, but nonetheless, if that's what bad looks like to the eye test for the top line,
head to head, in case you're curious, and I know that you are,
of course,
against Ryan O'Reilly, Nathan McKinnon absolutely shit on Ryan O'Reilly.
Okay, so
8 shots on goal, 4, 2 against, 12 scoring chances, 4, 2 against, 4 high danger chances, 4, 1 against. 18 shot attempts, 4, 5 against. Absolutely shit on Ryan O'Reilly.
So
if that's what Ryan O'Reilly's getting paid for, the Blues, they should get a refund.
Yeah, I guess I'm just pampered by total domination from Nathan McKinnon then, because it didn't look Super Saiyan levels tonight, I guess. But
it got worse as the game went on, because after the first period, it was almost even.
Yeah.
And for it to have finished like that meant that Nathan MacKinnon
turned up. Yeah.
Yeah. Nathan MacKinnon took out the big stick and just started beating him with it. And again, the only thing that stopped it was a buzzer.
Skate quickly and carry a big stick. Is that McKinnon's motto?
It's more like buy a big stick, use the big stick every single night, all the time.
Until Mikko comes along, and then it's break the big stick.
Yeah, exactly.
There was some restraint tonight after he got thrown into the into the goal there. I thought he was going to get up and just give one the back.
He skated like right by his head, and I was like, "Don't do it, Mikko! Don't do it!"
Yeah, it was from that top line. It was actually really their only line that did work.
All right.
In case you were curious, the best pairing in the NHL, Sam Girard and Devon Toews.
Still good.
Still devouring teams. Their numbers are actually so stupid. I wish we could give the Norris to two players, because you would just give it to this pairing and just be like, I don't care about individual performances. These two together are insane. They might be, and I say this understanding what that 2001 team had, they might be the best pairing that the Avs have ever had.
I've been saying this defense is the best the Avs have ever had since the start of the season. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Speaking of
right now, Ryan Graves is an anchor around Cale Makar's neck. I don't know what to do about that.
I mean, the juxtaposition between
healthy, my guy.
But them together, like Makar was like on another level tonight. I thought he looked great out there. Like he was flying out there. He was making great plays. And then on the other side there, it was like a roller coaster. It's the only way that you can really talk about it. So
to play devil's advocate, I will say Ryan Graves was the only player keeping the Avs penalty kill functional. He had some very nice plays there. But what do you say when it's just it's Nikita Zadorov? The puck management is Nikita Zadorov. That's what it is from Ryan Graves right now.
It's bad, man.
Yep.
Yeah, and really, like, the puck management is always going to be iffy. Like we're talking about Patrick, like people talking about Patrick Nemeth, like he's going to roll in here and fix things, right? Y'all remember Patrick Nemeth can't move a puck, right? Like he's going to come in and it's going to look a lot like what Ryan Graves does, at least when it comes to the puck. How they play defensively is going to be a little bit different because Nemeth a little bit, Nemeth a little bit of a better skater, a little more of a natural shot blocker and blah, blah. But he's not going to come in and fix that problem. And having both of them back there is going to kind of create an additional issue that they don't really have right now because of their usage, because of the way that they're distributing minutes. But Nemeth will do other things. Nemeth won't make the mental mistakes that Graves is making on a regular basis.
That's where it is.
Like at least once a game, you're watching Ryan Graves. Even in Ryan Graves' better games, you're watching that dude get caught somewhere in the neutral zone as the play is going back the other way, and he is desperate to get back. And like Pratt and Bednar are sitting there like, I don't have better options here. I can't just not play the guy. If you actually look at it, I mentioned Makar a minute ago. Makar's numbers are better with Graves than with anyone else. So what do? You're in a weird spot there. I mean, you try Nemeth. I think you have to try Nemeth with Makar. But ultimately, I think they're going to find success. The linchpin here is the teenager.
Yep.
They need Bo Byram back.
Yep.
They need that other guy that can stabilize the puck moving on all three pairings. That way they're not like, because you don't want to roll out Nemeth and Graves. That's not going to do anything for you. All that's going to do is take everybody that's mad about Ryan Graves right now and keep them mad, but also make them mad at Nemeth eventually. Like, that's not the answer either. What you want to do is you want to distribute obviously Taves and Girard are comical because they both have that. But with Makar's ability to move the puck, you tether him to a guy that you don't worry about. And then with Byram and Nemeth, you're fine. Like, look, Connor Timmins was rock solid tonight. One of his better games. The guy played 9 minutes. He's not part of this when things get healthy.
Yep.
It's not. That's just me reading the tea leaves of the coaching staff here.
Just
is.
Timmins played 9 minutes. McDonald's played 11 minutes. Every single one of the other 4D played at minimum 21 minutes. Yeah. It's pretty obvious who's going to sit.
Yeah. And like maybe they use when if they ever get all these guys back healthy, right? And maybe they bring McDonald in for a game and they use it to sit a Ryan Graves and say, dude, we just have to give you a night off. This hasn't been working and we haven't had a chance to do anything different. You haven't played your way out of it. Maybe we just need to give you the day off.
Sure.
It's just too many problems that consistently are stacking up here. And it's just, I just have, I don't know. I think they're in a tough spot there. Like, this isn't a major problem. As long as they have those top three guys, they're going to be competitive and they're going to do work. But they really, this is like, it's why I kind of joked about the Ekholm thing. Like, you solidify that spot. Just like lock that in. It's again, like, how much are they missing Eric Johnson? While all of this is going on with Bo and Byram, there was a couple weeks there where they were just like rolling along with Dan Renouf and Jacob McDonald and shit, and you're like, this doesn't make any sense logically, but it's working, right?
They miss EJ for the exact same reason they got Patrick Nemeth. The one thing that EJ could have really provided this defense is Devon Toews doesn't have to play 27 minutes a night because he's playing 8 minutes of PK.
Well, and with EJ, they have another guy that can move a puck. It's not a guy just firing blind darts around the ice and hoping that it just gets out of the zone. It's not a guy that's just trying to go halfway up the glass and get it to zip by a guy's ear or something, it's not like EJ brings a dynamic enough skill set that you can definitely see where they're hurting without him. The best thing that they could probably do with EJ is to trade him to another team, have them retain salary and have them trade him back. Just so he's a more appropriately cost player.
The illegal trade play.
That's a dude that could legitimately help them a ton right now. Eric Johnson, if Eric Johnson was healthy and Bo and Byram were healthy, Patrick Nemeth isn't here.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have to find their way with these guys because Ryan Graves is just
pull a Washington with Brooks Orpik. All right, you move EJ out.
Send him to Seattle. They buy him out, and then you sign him back for $1 million. Yeah. Fine. Whatever, man. It's fine. That's what you use your first round pick for. It's fine. I just more and more like we see this, and it's like. It's frustrating because you see that hole there, and like an Av that deserves so much better doesn't get to be around for this.
Do you think
now? And we're talking about a 19-year-old kid coming in here and like fixing things, and it's like,
Do you think Graves is better if they just limit his minutes? If he's not sitting on the ice for 20 minutes, you know what I mean? Like if he's down in that 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Bottom pairing.
He's not going to play 10, but reduction of minutes definitely would help him.
To be honest with you, if they rolled out a Nemeth Makar pairing and then a Graves and Byram pairing, and that Graves and Byram pairing played 15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
At even strength, and then
Graves gets another 3
Graves plays whatever PK minutes between him and Nemeth. Like
That 16 to 18 minute sweet spot, I think. Yeah,
I think that third pairing is one that almost every other team in the NHL would straight cut a bitch for, and not just for Bowen Byram's potential, but for what it is today.
Yeah,
like again, compare that to what Minnesota's going to roll out on the third pairing in Ian Cole and Carson Soucy. Like which one of those dudes are you? Which one of those pairings are you taking your chance on?
Yeah,
it's absolutely Graves and Byram.
Yeah.
So I think that's where they should really strive to get to. Tonight was just it's just more of the same for Graves, where it's just frustrating.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you're going to take a chance on a pair, make sure that pair looks good. Head on over to manscaped.com and use code DNVR to get 20% off and free shipping.
I was really hoping you were talking about the fruit. But instead,
nope.
Balls.
Had the Manscaped read. Had to be the Manscaped read today. You can get the perfect package, which has all the right tools for the job, whether it be the Lawnmower Trimmer 3.0, breath mints, deodorant, toner, you name it, they got you covered. So use the code DNVR over at Manscaped.
Oh my
Your balls
God.
will thank you. What?
I just saw the third Vegas goal.
Oh, I see. All right. Well,
it is a backhand dump in from the blue line that Quick tries to play into his body and then bounces hard to his right.
That's why you should buy insurance. So head on over to Gabby Insurance to get yourself insured for both home and auto. So something like a weird bouncing puck doesn't break your window and then you're out of luck. That's Gabby, GABI.com/DNVR to check them out. An average user saves $961. It's free to check with Gabby, so go on over there and send them your info, and they will find the best deal for you on insurance. Highly recommend. Bunch of us here at DNVR have tried it, and all of us have saved at least a couple $100 through them. So it's guaranteed, basically, to save you some money one way or another. And we are also brought to you all by DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 rated sportsbook app out there. You can head on over there and use code DNVR to get a bunch of amazing odds boosts. But right now, they have an incredible deal where you get $100 if you bet $1 on any basketball team to win a hockey game and hit 1-3. Just one. You know, when's the last time an NBA basketball game did not have a 3-pointer in it? Legitimately, like it has to be like a decade or something ridiculous, right? Every single basketball game has threes.
With the way Steph Curry rolled in and changed how the pace and space was going to happen. Here we are.
So this bet is like a guarantee if your team wins. So jump on it right now. Use code DNVR signing up for a new account at DraftKings Sportsbook. Basketball's not your thing. They have odds boosts on hockey, baseball, football, college sports, esports, cycling, you name it. You can bet on it at DraftKings. Must be 21 or older. Colorado only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. All right. Do we want to wrap up, talk about this game? Anything else you guys want to touch on? Because I do want to get to the prospects too.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
What do they matter? They're not going to play for the Avs this year.
Yeah,
do we have some highlights?
Fun. I don't have highlights to play, but we can talk about the prospects now, even if AJ doesn't care. That's fine. Let the people have the hype train, AJ. That's all I'm saying. Alex Newhook.
The NHL team without all these guys has 30 wins in 43 games.
Yeah, but
what was it that I said? 17-1-2 in their last 20?
People are tired of being hyped on the Avs right now. They want to be hyped on something new.
If you're tired of being hyped on the Avs, let me remind you of the last decade of being an Avalanche fan. It has sucked.
AJ, I agree with you, and this is no offense to any of you in chat, but I'm confident that a lot of you were not here for 16-17. I am confident.
Oh, and Sampo just scored.
All right, that's what I want to get to. 2 points for Newhook, now 2 points for Sampo if he just scored a goal. You also have assists from both Kaut and Bowers. I mean, yeah. It's exciting times. It's exciting times. If you are a believer in the Avs announcement about how they really like the long game of developing their prospects, guess what? It's working, at least. They're doing good stuff in the AHL. So good. I mean, the hype is real, not only for this season, and this is kind of the bigger point that I wanted to make and that AJ and I have been making for a while now, is this team isn't just going to go away. This team is going to get better over the next couple of years. So,
I mean, we've said this on multiple. Like, it was funny to me because Sakic in his presser after the deadline was like, "This is as good as we're going to get. We're going to have to get cheaper at some spots in coming years," and it was like, buddy, this is not as good as you're gonna get. Okay. Like you have Alex Newhook and Bowen Byram alone to take you to a different level than this current club is gonna be at, because of the opinion that Newhook will end up a better, more prolific 2C behind McKinnon eventually than Nazem Kadri is. Not a knock on Kadri, just where I think Newhook's headed. Like Bowen Byram, we all have stardom pictured, laid out for him. And while being in this particular defense is going to make that a little complicated, that's the fourth guy we're talking about. Like, he's the fourth guy on the Norseman shirt for a reason. Like, this, I totally get, like, this is as good as it's going to get, because they're about to get way expensive in the next few years. But even if they get somebody, if Rambo Santa is an actual NHL player, it's a huge victory for them.
Yep.
Huge. If that dude is what he looks like he could be, if he's Andre Burakovsky 2.0, you just replace Burakovsky when he gets expensive in another year. Because remember, that guy signed a 2-year deal.
Yep.
So it's like I don't know. I'm just,
the future's bright.
And then whatever like Kaut and Bowers are guys that we've always had kind of penciled in as role players,
bottom six NHL caliber dudes.
Yeah, than like star players. But if they live up to that, if they both become 35-point guys in the NHL, like, you're rolling.
Yeah.
You don't need to go out into free agency and try and get super lucky with some of those guys, Like, I don't know. It's the potential is there for them. Like Connor Timmins, where's Connor Timmins fit? At this point, Connor Timmins is his long-term viability on Colorado's defense probably is going to be taken away because they need what Drew Hellison does more.
Yeah. And that's not to say Connor Timmins isn't an NHLer. It's just
right. And then you get into some of the other guys that weren't, like Sasha Mutala is not even there. That could be a depth guy. Nikolai Kovalenko is probably NHL ready today.
Yep.
To drop in and put into your bottom six on your fourth line somewhere. Like, not only that, but what?
Yo, we're truly living in the bizarro universe. Nick Henry just scored.
Nick.
That reaction was amazing.
I don't know what to say about that. Yeah, Sampo's goal, by the way, is classic. He just drives the net.
That's what he do.
Yeah. Like, it looks like all of his Minnesota goals this year. They all just
Yo, Sampo's floor is an AHLer. Like, don't kid yourself. But
it's just, yeah, the guy that I forgot, Jean-Luc Foudy.
Yep, who's been killing. He's still 2 years away, but has been killing it.
If that dude was an LA Kings prospect or a Ducks prospect doing what he's doing in the NHL, he might have gotten an ELC and they might have just dropped him in at the end of this NHL season just to see.
Yep.
Because he's been that good.
Yep.
In the AHL, where you're like,
why not give it a try?
It's awfully curious. So I'm just like all these guys. It's not even like you're dreaming so much on most of these guys because it's happening in the AHL.
You're witnessing it right now.
Like Martin Kaut has an assist tonight, which looks boring and plain Jane compared to all this other shit happening. But it's like,
but he's also got 14 points in 13 games.
Yeah, it's like Martin Kaut has an assist every night.
Yeah.
So, Justin Barron was a point per game guy in Halifax this year.
Yep.
We didn't even talk about it, but Alex Bocage had like 13
off,
goals in like 12 games or something in what should be his last year in the queue.
Yep.
Like these guys, these guys are all still. I mean, you could even get excited. Trent Miner goes back to the WHL.
Post 3 straight shutouts.
3 shutouts in a row.
Yeah.
Like, where do you even go with that now? Like, that was a guy that you're thinking, oh, we're probably not going to give him an ELC, especially after the Peyton Jones stuff and Hunter
goalies the Avs have signed now. Yeah.
Yeah. And now it's like Jonas Johansson doesn't look like shit either. Like, could he be your third goaltender next year? Like what, and then Justus Annunen comes over. We finally get to see the justice on North American lands. And then it's like Trent Miner, like you kind of want to find an ELC, just let that guy like chill in Utah for a year or two.
Yep.
It's the best part about this whole thing was
man.
AJ didn't want to talk about this at all.
I didn't, because it's like they are pushing for a freaking Stanley Cup without a single one of these cats. If any of these guys, except Connor Timmins is the one exception. He's the only guy that I think might play in the playoffs for them. Otherwise, I don't think any of these guys, I think it will take like 4 or 5 injuries to get into the conversation of any of these guys making it into the NHL lineup. Like, I didn't want to get into it because it's like the Avs have kind of like low key had 4 out of 5 games where they've been really blah, and they just keep winning, and so it's kind of papering over that. We still have a lot to get into at the NHL level, but if you want to get into the AHL shit, dude, like it's really easy to be like, oh, well, these guys are gonna be phenomenal, and these guys are blah, blah. But I feel like we've done a good job setting realistic expectations here. We're not sitting around talking about Martin Kaut scoring 45 points and like being a second line player. If he becomes that, this is a huge victory.
Yeah. I mean,
because he probably does it on a line next to Sampo Ranta, centered by freaking Alex Newhook.
If you get that out of Martin Kaut, like Joe Sakic is just Conor McGregor walking into the ball arena every night.
Like if they get really, really lucky, and like let's go with the like reasonable here. Let's say Sampo Ranta becomes Andre Burakovsky and replaces him.
Oh my god!
Alex Newhook replaces that Nazem Kadri as your 2C, and Bowen Byram becomes a
40-point.
Like a Ryan Suter-esque 40-point whole situation.
28 minutes a night.
Do a little bit of everything for you defensively, but it's like a freaking stud. Okay, like let's just put it like realistic. Those are all they get anything out of these other cats. If Martin Kaut becomes like what we thought JT Compher was going to become, and then Shane Bowers ends up being the kind of quality defensive-minded depth center.
Yep.
All of this shit happens on ELCs or while they're still relatively cheap. All of this happens while Tyson Jost is breaking out and Val Nichushkin is still under contract. And like, not only like do you have center depth, but you also have like dynamic players on the wings, and then you have skating for days, and you have a big influx of hockey IQ, because the thing that like Kaut and Bowers and all these cats are going to bring. They're all really, really, really smart players.
Except for Sampo. But yeah.
Except for Sampo. Sampo he plays in straight lines, and it just works for him. But this is exactly the kind of thing, and I would like to get into it because I always get the homer shit, but it's exactly the kind of thing that you see coming that says they win 3 cups in 6 years. They win 3 cups in 5 years because they've got the kind of youth that feeds the beast. The beast is already here. The monster's out of the fucking cage, okay? And the NHL can't do shit about it. They keep trying, and everybody in the West is looking around going, oh my God. Like Vegas is thrilled to go back to the Pacific Division next year. But like this is already, the Avs are already in the space where they are the model organization for how teams want to build and play for the next 5 to 7 years. They are already there. And if this next wave hits the way that it could, if it's that good, then the NHL is in deep shit. Because it is legitimately dynasty time at that point.
There it is. I've got some bets out there too with some of my buddies about 3 cups in 10 years at least. So gotta get those wins in. Gotta get the W's.
10 years would be mercy at this point. 10 years, you want to know what the hell just happened? What went wrong? Did a Detroit Red Wings-esque foe step to the stage? Because that sure as hell isn't going to be Vegas. Vegas is going to be done and gone in 3 years. We're going to be looking at Vegas like, oh, that's it. Who's going to
catch me on my yacht then?
Like the Kings are going to be the one to step to the stage with Quentin Byfield as their top guy? Yeah, okay, I'm going to need some convincing on that shit. Let's see what happens when some of these guys actually hit the NHL. And because that's the thing about their NHL stars are all young and in their prime and ready to run everybody over. It's already happened. They have 30 wins in 43 games. Like, are they benefiting from a weak division? Yeah, but when you're also the best team in hockey, every division is a weak division. It doesn't matter what division. You could put them in a division with Tampa Bay and Toronto and Florida. Blah, 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 blah. They'd still fucking be first. It's the best team in the league. Top to bottom, organizationally. You want to take out their bottom 6 and put in a bunch of kids from the AHL? Still the best fucking team in the league. It's just ridiculous to watch right now.
Man, I wish the Avs game was starting right now. After that.
I mean, he's right, though. Yeah. He said the Avs have played blah 4 out of their last 5 games, but they're so good that it goes dub, 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 dub. That's, what do you even say? You say 3 cups in 6 years, I guess. I don't.
That's the goal.
Dynasty time.
You're trying to repeat what Chicago did, and then avoid the letdown. You want what Chicago did in their prime with what Pittsburgh did in like the second half of Crosby and Malkin's careers.
So keep drafting this way. It'll be going for a while.
The definition of a dynasty, or at least the old definition of a dynasty, was 4 championships in 10 years. Technically, Chicago didn't do that. There hasn't been a dynasty in the NHL since the 80s, I believe. So don't believe anyone won 4 in the 90s. But I'm not 100% sure on those. Someone would have to fact check me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like right now, it's like, okay, all hype and all excitement, right? But you got to win one first,
right?
And they're not entitled to shit.
Yep. Make no mistake, it doesn't matter how good you are. Just look at the Nuggets. The Nuggets lose Jamal Murray, and their entire season gets turned upside down in a blink of an eye.
Yeah,
and it can go away very quickly.
Yeah.
Like the Avs are going to feel the effects of the drop off from Philip Grubauer to Devin Dubnyk on some level.
Yep.
Does that mean they win 3-2 instead of 3-1? That's the hope.
Yeah.
But it's going to happen at some point. Like they're going to feel that. But and really like their best chance to do the thing is they have to win 1 on McKinnon's current contract.
Yeah. Period.
Because if they win 1 on the current deal, then they have a really, really good chance to do something special.
Yep.
Yep.
If they If they don't, it just makes life a lot harder for obvious reasons. Like life is just going to get much harder.
That's a laundry list of reasons that it gets harder.
Yeah. But like this is not like the late 90s right now where the Avs had an obvious foe standing in their way. Like they had to go through Detroit. Like Colorado and Detroit had to deal with each other.
Yep.
Both of those teams ended up like all-time classic teams and all that, right? But they had each other on hand. One, made them better, but two, also took away potential championships.
I guess you have Tampa, who's like on their last legs of keeping this team together, trying to get one more almost.
Yeah, well, they know, they know that there's going to be a breakup of some point. The age is going to have an impact at some point. Like Tampa Bay is still loaded for the next several years. There's no doubt, but they just have way more. They have like championship team problems at this point. Like Colorado doesn't. They're not quite there yet. But as long as Colorado's taking notes on how to dance around the cap the way that they are, like the way that Tampa Bay is right now, it's a masterclass.
It is.
In how to continue to compete. And you worry about they're racking up charges on the credit card, and someday they're gonna have to pay that bill.
There's a steep price coming.
Well, and you don't know what it looks like. You know what maybe it looks more like what Chicago's done, where they've bottomed out, but like they're still like competitive-ish every year, and it's not like Detroit bottoming out, which is like bottomed out.
Jesus, yeah.
We don't know what that looks like, but they're gonna have problems in a hurry. But as long as they maintain. And it'll be the same thing in Colorado. As long as you keep McKinnon, as long as you keep Randon, and as long as you keep Cale Makar. Sam Girard's already under contract, so it's really not that huge of a concern. But as long as you keep those big three for the next 10 years, you're special. You're competing for stuff.
That's the Hall of Fame core, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they said the same thing in Chicago. As long as you keep Keith and Taves and Kane, you'll compete. Now, they did until Taves inexplicably, hard crashed back down to earth, and then Keith just got old.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, it was more Seabrook got old was what took him down.
Well, and Seabrook's obviously part of that. Jalmerson played a huge role in that as well, and blah. But there were a lot of things, but you have your couple of guys that are right in that conversation.
I mean.
Toronto on all this Austin Matthews contract, they have to. If they're going to do it, it really has to happen then, because then they're going to have a very hard time affording things after that.
I'll tell you this: the Avs D-core doesn't have to worry about anyone getting old anytime soon. So
that's where Colorado is different from all these other clubs. One, their D-core is already elite, and two, it's young as hell.
Yep.
The only guy that's aging out of that is Devon Taves.
Yep.
And we don't know how he's gonna age. You just don't know. If that guy ages wonderfully, there's a second Colorado contract that you get into and becomes a whole thing. Just don't Vlasic it up. But these other kids, like Makar and Girard and Byram, that's your trio on the back end.
Yep.
They're all good literally for a decade. You're good.
Yep.
You're good.
And in a nutshell, that's what makes a night like tonight so problematic, is that St. Louis was able to take advantage of a lot of Colorado's depth, but you look at some of these numbers, and best on best, the Avs did just fine.
Yep.
Sam Girard, A. Grady, Devon Taves, smoke show. Just good luck getting you get a bad night from one of those guys, and the other two have great nights.
And that's what a weapon that is in a 7-game series, where you stop one of the problems, you got 6 more problems. There's no end to the list of, all right, McKinnon didn't do well tonight, but Cale Makar had 2 points. Oh, we shut down Rantanen, but Landeskog showed up. Yeah. Oh, Sam Girard had a turnover tonight, but Nathan McKinnon did Nathan McKinnon things. And then you add in, if Philip Grubauer is hot behind him, look.
Or whatever, whoever ends up.
Sure. Doesn't if Dubnyk is playing next game or whatever. But all of this is great. The Avs still have to go out and do it.
Yeah.
They still have to play the games. There's a reason you play every single game.
Well, and the reason that we're as hyped as we are on this is because when they are playing the games, they're whooping that ass.
Yep.
Like 30 wins in 43 games. You told any Avs fan at the beginning of the season you could have that?
They'd slam dunk it.
Yeah.
Like these guys are breaking franchise records set by teams that did win cups.
Yep.
So there's every reason to be excited about it. They still have to do it.
Yep.
They still have to get over the hump. All this dynasty talk will just be a bunch of hilarious hype for nothing if they can't get over that hump. They got to get through that. They got to get through that first obstacle, which is always the hardest one.
The reality of hype is it's always what could be. AJ, I'm sure you know it in the video game industry as much as I do. Hype is incredibly hard to live up to.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a Mass Effect fan. I didn't think I felt for the last 10 years of my life.
Yeah, but how do you feel now?
Wake up every day and I look at my Mass Effect tattoo and I think Legendary Edition is coming. Is that all this is? Is that are these the Avs Legendary Edition? Running back the glory days, doing the all-time greats?
Maybe. If it nets you 2 cups, do you complain?
Nope.
Exactly right. I think we're pretty much done here. I don't know how else to put it. The Avs have lost 1 game in regulation in the last 20 hockey games. They're stupid good. They're
1 regulation loss since March 8th.
Since March 8th, and they've had like no
game every other
game
every other day.
I looked this up because Tom Hunter came at me sideways about it, but for the last 54 days, counting today, since the Avs played in Lake Tahoe, 54 days, 30 games played, which is tops in the league, tied with, of all teams, New Jersey. Then Dallas, 52 days, 29 games. Buffalo, 29 games in 54 days as well.
Makar, the Avs would be begging Makar to take an 8x8. That would be a sick team-friendly deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how the NHL does it. Somehow Vegas has 2 days off in their schedule coming up, despite needing to play more games than the Avs, and the Avs don't. I don't understand how that works, but I'm not going to question it. The Avs have to play every other day or more through the rest of the year as well. So,
yeah, 11 straight weeks of no 2-day breaks.
Yep.
It's a lot of hockey.
It's a lot of hockey.
The concern about the Avs peaking too soon is very real. That this is the best hockey that they play all year because they just crash and burn out of energy because they have to play too much. I think it's a real concern.
Yeah, definitely.
Would you rather be Colorado, an absolute smoke show through the middle portion of the season, or would you rather be the team that totally catches fire right at the end of the regular season going into the playoffs? Yeah. Now, if Colorado just continues it, of course you want to be Colorado. But if they have a real lull going into the postseason, I think it'll be a concern.
Yep.
Hopefully they give them a little bit of rest before the playoffs get going, though.
Yeah, you have to think that some load management gets worked in there, and hopefully a week or something before the playoffs. But super chat here from Billy wanted to wait to the end. How did Timmins, Soda, and Dube play? Timmins was rock solid. Dube was rock solid. We didn't really talk about Soda very much, but that's not on him. Other than some weird penalty kill usage, he was the best player on an extremely quiet second line.
Yeah.
So pretty straightforward there.
I liked Soda. I thought he looked good tonight.
That's what I'm saying. I thought he looked good. It's just that Kadri and Burakovsky were ghosts. So what can you do?
Yeah, 13 games in a row, no goals for Nazem Kadri.
Yep.
That's brutal. So he's ready to pop off a few here, hopefully. Fingers crossed.
I mean, you have to think that, like, just given his career, it's coming, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's usually how it is, just a streaky player.
Yeah. Oh, well, he had the slow start to the season, and then he just tore shit up for a month straight.
He's the guy.
And now he's slowed down again.
He's the guy waiting to get hot at the right time for the Avs.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Like, is it any coincidence that McKinnon, 13 games in a row with no goals, and McKinnon's on an 11-game point streak?
Yeah.
McKinnon will taper off just enough, have a game or two where he doesn't score, and Kadri will have 5 points, and they'll still win.
Kadri show up in the thrift shop.
Yeah. Timmins was fine. So I liked Soderberg. Dubnyk was solid. No complaints, really.
Yeah. Find the brain power to not make the stupid mistake in the third period, and this is an easy win for the Avs.
Yeah.
Yep. And you know what? With no Philip Grubauer for the next 2 weeks because of protocol stuff, this is an audition for Devin Dubnyk to try and get a starting deal.
Yep.
It's going to go into free agency, and if he can roll with the Avs, like, this is a chance for him to prove that, hey, he's not just an old guy who used to be a starter. You know, it's a chance for him to try and prove to everybody that maybe he can
something.
Yeah, maybe he can platoon next year for a team that is looking for somebody to kind of buoy maybe a young goaltender or a weaker 1A option. So we'll see.
We will see.
It's on his plate, man. Like, he's got the chance to prove it right now. He's going to be backstopping a good team. Any success could be something that gets him a nice little offseason deal.
Blais, any final thoughts on the night, the season, the whatever you got?
No, man. I think we covered it all.
There you
Just
go.
Gotta jump. Let's go. Go Avs, go.
Let's leave it there. I got nothing else. The Avs are too good at hockey at the moment. If they keep it up, they're going to continue being too good. So thank you, everyone, for watching, listening. A late super chat here. I mean, let's not get crazy. But
I don't like that idea.
There's a world where Grube is not an Av, but I don't see a world where Dube is the starter that you're relying on as a cup contender. Anyway, chat hates that as well. So we're going to leave now. Thank you for watching, listening, however you consume the podcast. We appreciate all of y'all. We will be live again tomorrow at 1 p.m. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. That helps us out a ton on the channel. I don't know what we're talking about tomorrow. We'll figure it out one way or another. Something hockey related. That's
should have been the prospects, but you guys had to do this tonight.
All right. That was worth. All right. I think everyone in chat would agree that was worth. Thank you again.
I need to smoke.
Go have a smoke, and we will talk to y'all tomorrow.